Welcome back to 500 points for £50. In this series we try to find ways of making a somewhat viable 500 point list for equal to or less than £50. If you're new to the series, here's a quick overview of the rules. Firstly, we can buy models from anywhere we want, and many models featured in this series will be second-hand to save the cost. Postage costs will also be included on online purchases, and we'll be using official GW models only, and we won't allow for any proxying as every point counts. Finally, rules, codexes, paints, brushes, and other supplement items will not be included. If you want to find your army rules for free, you can use Battlescribe or Wikipedia. Okay, let's get started. In this episode, we're looking at the Space Marines. In particular, the red raging space vampires, the Blood Angels. I chose Blood Angels simply because it's the chapter that I'm most familiar with, and also the faction gives me access to the Death Company character upgrades that I plan to use to help lift this list to a higher point value. This episode of 500 points for £50 is going to be a little bit different though. We're aiming to find a 500 point list for as little money as possible, setting a target to go no way over £25. Did we do it? Well, we did, and we got even cheaper. I managed to spend a total of £15.78 on the models used in this list. It would have been £15.80, but one of the captain models came with a 2p coin on its base. These models were all bought together from the website The Troll Trader and came to £13.78 with £2 for the postage. Buying all the models from the same place helped mitigate any fat postage costs. I then went to eBay to buy some 32mm bases. As the models from The Troll Trader were all old models with accompanying old-sized bases, it was necessary to stick them on 32mm so they would be playable in 9th edition games. These bases costed a total of £2.99. So the total cost of this list was £18.77. That's about the same price as one Primaris Lieutenant model from the GW store. I did have to buy some methylated spirit for £3.75, but as this was a supplement item, I didn't include it in the total. This lovely purple beverage was used to strip all that nasty thick paint from the models. And of course, make sure to use gloves when working with these kind of chemicals. In hindsight, I would have liked to have been more thorough with the stripping process, as not all the paint was successfully removed. That said, the final painted models were still in a much better condition than they were before. The patrol detachment consists of 4 units and comes to exactly 500 points. For the HQ, we have a captain upgraded to be a chapter master. He's armed with a combi plasma and a relic blade. Yes, technically he's armed with a power sword, and yes, therefore it's a proxy, but I mean, come on, a sword is a sword. The captain model was £2.40 and costs 85 points. Plus 5 points for the combi plasma, 10 for the relic blade, and 40 for the chapter master upgrade made a fat 140 point HQ unit. We've also got a Death Company captain with a jump pack, relic blade, and a combi plasma. The captain wasn't originally modelled with a jump pack, but the Apothecary model had one, so I simply swapped the jump pack from the Apothecary and stuck it onto this model. The Apothecary then got the captain's original power pack. The price of this captain was also £2.40, and the points costs were the same for the model itself, combi plasma, and relic blade, but this time the 20 point Death Company upgrade and 25 point jump pack made way for a 145 point model. This meant that over half the points in the list could be attributed to the 2 HQ models that costed a total of £4.80. For the troops, we had a classic tactical squad that was £5. The sergeant has a plasma pistol and power sword, with a marine in the squad wielding a flamer. A tactical squad sits at 90 points, and all the weapon upgrades mentioned were 5 points each, making the final points value 105 points. And finally, for the elites, we have a £4 apothecary that's been upgraded to be a chief apothecary. An apothecary costs 75 points, and the chief apothecary upgrade is very expensive, costing 35 points, giving rise to a total of 110 points altogether. The list is 8 models altogether, but it's not really a surprise considering the price we paid for the list. The entire list has been made on Battlescribe, and I'll leave a link to download the roster in the description below. So, for a quick summary, second-hand Firstborn Space Marines are the types of models you should consider if you want to start collecting Space Marines, or 40k in general, on a budget. Their rules aren't exactly the strongest, but they will allow you to start playing the game in a match play setting. The old second-hand Dark Vengeance Captain models are by far the lowest price per point HQ models I could find. People don't want these models, and although the models are sculpted with Dark Angel iconography, for a new player this isn't something you'd care too much about. Furthermore, Character models are a great way to cut costs. Many characters in the Space Marine Codex can be upgraded to really saturate their point values. However, aside from a cheap list being pretty crap in the meta, the main disadvantage of making a list like this is simply the quality. Even if the actual model sculpts aren't too shabby, most cheap secondhand models will probably be quite old, built incorrectly, or have super funky poses. You could try and correct the posing, but this is something I didn't do mainly to save time. But at the end of the day, this video does demonstrate that starting a small, match play patrol force could be significantly cheaper than you'd think. I also hope that for any new players that are hesitating to start the hobby due to the price, this video shows you can find something pretty cheap if you take the time to look around. If you found this video informative, please give it a like and maybe share it to someone you know that's new to the hobby. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.